Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm Sarah from Handmade After Dark. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia, and I'm here for this week's online class to go, which is featuring the beautiful gallery suite this week. So I'll just switch my camera around so I can show you the projects and also some of the suite products. There we go. All right, so these are the 3 cards for this week's class. So now this first one, so I've got 2. You can actually get the 2 cards from one 6x6 piece of DSP. So this particular paper comes in a 6x6 pack. And have I got that the right way around? Maybe. Actually, let me find. I actually have the paper here. And there's lots of really pretty papers in this pack. So you've got some more subtle sort of background papers. You've got scenery, landscape images. And although this isn't my usual style, I do really like this paper. I have quite a long list of projects and photos saved for designs that I want to make. That's the way it goes. I had it the wrong way around. So for this one, you cut it in half, and then you'll still need to trim a little bit off the end. And so you get 1/2, and I switched sides for the paper. So you can get 2 cards from one piece of 6x6, which can be sometimes a problem with the 6x6. It's a lot harder to get 2 cards out of one piece, but this one, it definitely can be done. And so this final card, this is actually a fun fold. So it just opens out, and this is one, it takes a bit of time to put together purely because there are a few pieces, but it's really easy to put together. It's basically just layering. And then the belly band is optional. That just helps keep it all together, but you don't have to do the belly band if you don't want it. You can go with whatever you prefer. So now this suite, I'll show you the stamp sets. There are 2 stamp sets and dies, so 2 stamp die bundles for this one. You've got the Gallery Blooms one, so that one doesn't have any sentiments, and then the Beautiful Motifs, which does have sentiments. And the Beautiful Motifs dies also have, let me find them, these ones, and I've used this one in my final card. So this doesn't die cut the outline, it cuts sort of the center lines, and so you've got sort of, let me bring this one back out so you can sort of see it. They poke up so you can see underneath, but it doesn't sort of cut the full shape out, so it just adds a little bit of extra dimension to your card. All right, let's put that back and get started. And we will start with this one. I'll just make one of them, but the other one you can easily put together. So online class to go. You receive, if you place an order of $75 or more in my online store before shipping and after any Stampin' Rewards, you will get the kits to make 2 each of the 3 designs. So for this first one, you will get the 2, basically the the one sheet of DSP in half, cut in half, so you can make the two slightly different designs. There is some embossed Mossy Meadow cardstock, some die cuts for the sentiment, obviously the DSP and the base, which is basic beige. Alrighty, now with this one, actually, let's do the stamping first and get that done. So I'm just using the Mossy Meadow ink for this one and the You've Been on My Mind sentiment. But of course, you can switch that out if you would prefer. That's absolutely fine. Let me just grab a scrap of grid paper, and I don't want ink all over my block. Let's try that again. Make sure that's even. And if you hear any snoring in the background, it's just my dog. She decided she wanted to join me tonight. I'm hoping she will behave herself. She's very cheeky. She behaves when she wants to. We'll see how we go. I'm just going to clean that one, seeing as I made a bit of a mess. Put that aside. Now, one thing we need to do is we are going to now which one am I going with? I am going with this one. So these two are going to go together like that, and I am using some of the new Mossy Meadow and Gold ribbon, and we're going to join those together. But to make it a little bit easier, just to hold everything together, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to flip these over, and this is entirely optional. I just find it a bit easier because I'm not great at keeping things in line. But another option is you can, oh, that's not quite what I wanted. I might go this way. It's just a bit easier. You can also, because the main issue sticking these together is that they can move, and we don't want that. So you can also hold it down with, say, a couple of blocks, some of your heavier blocks, but I'm just going to try and join those together. And that looks pretty good. That just makes it a little bit easier when it comes to adding the ribbon. And I'll use a bit of tear and tape on the ribbon, just so that because we want to make sure it sticks. And I should probably work out how much ribbon I actually need. I haven't done that yet. That might help. So just cut it down there. And I just add a little bit more at the ends, because these are going to wrap around the back. So I do want to make sure that they are going to stick. All right, now my tools are disappearing on me. Let's get these backings off. as we can. There we go. And it's a little bit easier now because we've stuck the cardstock and paper together already. So we don't have to try and keep it together while we join it. Alternative also is to cut one piece slightly bigger and then overlap and stick them together and then put the ribbon over. That is another option. All right, so let's stick this one down. I will, because I've got some embossed cardstock on here, I'm going to use the green glue. Just because it sticks a bit better for those. Alrighty. So this is actually a nice, quick and easy card. Paper does most of the work for this one. All right, and then we'll add some glue to this one. Stick that together. And then we will get some dimensionals. So one big, and then this one I'm down to all my little edge pieces. So if you don't already, you absolutely should use all your little edges of your dimensionals. They're really helpful when you need really thin pieces for some shapes. And they're just as good as the main shape, so use them. All right, now while I am peeling all these backings off, I should let you all know I am planning to launch a card club in September. So it's a subscription-based service. So each month I send out a kit. So it'll be 4 cards. You'll get kits for 2 of each of the 4 cards. Occasionally one will be a 3D item, but mostly cards. You'll also receive a bunch of Stampin' Up! Product to use on your projects. So that will be starting in September. I will be sending information out about that in probably a week or so's time. So if you are not on my mailing list, then if you head over to my blog at handmadeafterdark.com.au, sign up to my newsletter. You'll get all the information, also all the information about my card classes, other events. I do have a lot of events planned starting from next month. So head over, sign up, and you'll get all the information that you need, because not everything is going to be posted on social media. A lot of it is, but just so you don't miss out. And I will also be there's also additional things in my newsletter, like tutorials, other project ideas. So head over, sign up. And oh, that was silly. I've done that the wrong way round. Oops. Oh well. Very silly. I'll fix that later. All good. All good. That's what happens when you don't pay attention. Alrighty. That is card number 1. I will fix up my little boo-boo later. Alrighty. Card number 2. Once I find my kit, here's the card. Where is my kit? Here it is. So this one, I am using Highland Heather for the base. And so I've got some basic black, some basic white, and basic white for the insert. I'm going with this one for the card. And so I have, so you don't have to sit and watch me color, because you'd be here all night. I have colored this. The flower is Highland Heather, light and dark, Stampin' Blends, and the leaves are in old olive and granny apple green. And we will stamp in basic black. And I just realized I also need some other ribbon, some basic beige ribbon. So I'll get that out and hopefully don't forget to put it together in the right order. So I'm using the Thinking of You sentiment for this one. And I'm just going to use Memento Black for this. Try and keep the ink on my stamp and not my blocks this time. I might just move that out of the way. Right, and the flower is also stamped in Memento Black too. So let's start putting this together. So we have, and I'll try and put it together properly this time and not put it all the wrong way around. But that is all fine. I can fix that. I'll just add an additional layer of designer series paper on the inside to cover that up, and it will be fine. Easy peasy. All right, let's adhere this. I'll just use the stamp and seal for this one. Although I probably shouldn't have done that just because it's a finer border and I tend to mess these up a bit. I like to have that little bit of wriggle room, but it's all right. That looks fine. All right, now make sure I put this together in the right order. This one's also a fairly fine border, so I will use the glue, green glue this time. And just going to, no, that's all fine. My computer was just being a little difficult. It's all fine. All right, let's get some ribbon. So this is going to sit just up from that bottom edge. I'll use tear and tape again to hold that down. And a tiny bit more on the edges, just so it has something to stick to the back. Okay. There we go. So we'll get that down, so just up from the bottom. And some of that tape is, most of that tape has decided to come off on my hand rather than staying on the ribbon. It's all right, it's all going to be stuck down in a minute. So let's add this layer next. Go back to my green glue for this one. Make sure it's the right way up and on the right side of my card base. And this is going to sit in the middle there. Okay. Now we're going to need some more dimensionals. And I'm going to use a mix of my larger and small ones. And this is where using your edges and cutting strips off can be very helpful. So you can cut as thin as you like, or as thin as you can manage. And it just means that your die cut is going to have a little bit extra support, particularly if sometimes, particularly things like stems of flowers, they can be a little bit more fragile. So you don't want them being damaged because they haven't got enough support. So being able to add some extra dimension to support those small sections comes in very handy. And I think that's probably enough. I may just add a little bit more around the edges there. That should be plenty. And you can always just check before you stick them down that they're not going to be visible through your card, and you can always trim them back even further if you need to. And depending on your project, we always have also have the black dimensional. So if you want something that doesn't have the white edge showing, so particularly say for Halloween projects, where you might be using a lot of black, they can be very useful to use for those projects. All right, so we're just gonna put this down on a little bit of an angle. So the stem is going to sit over the flower. Now, when we do the dimensionals for this one, we just want to be careful that we don't want a dimensional on top of the flower because of the stem, because that's already raised up slightly. We want to make sure it's on either side. So we're going to go right the edge for that first one. And then after that, less of an issue because it'll be on the other side. Providing it doesn't stick to, it's just going to stick to me. I'll just get that one down, get the backing. Let's just flip that around. Oh, and the backing's on the wrong way, so it's going to stick. There we go, all good. All right, so I'm going to just make sure I've got that, got all the backings out of the way for starters, and then just make sure that that backing is going to sit on the edge and make sure that the bottom of the stem of that flower is covered. And I will add my inserts, and then we will add the gems. Okay. And then we'll add some more gems. So these are the pressed flower motifs, which are part of the suite. One thing to keep in mind, these are actually quite heavy. So if you've got a whole packet of them, like when you pick them up, you will notice that they are quite heavy compared to our other gems. So if you are mailing a card made using these, just be mindful of how many you use and where they land. And so what the postage would be. Yeah, a handful on a project isn't, it's not a massive issue. But if you've got too many, and depending on the other elements on your card, it can get a little heavier than you might expect. But yeah, having said that, I've just gone and put 5 on that, but it's okay. It's not as bad as it seems, but they definitely do have a bit more weight than the others. So that is card number 2 done. Let's move on to the final card. Hello, Renee. Thank you for joining me. So on to the final one. Do you remember is this one? And now I do have all the pieces cut for this one. So the most time-consuming part of this is all the die cutting and then just layering it together, but it is not difficult at all. So I've got, and I did already die cut or do this one. So this is the the one from the Beautiful Motifs dies that I was showing you earlier. So you can lift up the elements or the edges, but it doesn't actually cut out the entire shape. Although I'm sure if you wanted to, you probably could, but that's not the intention with these. But it does add a nice bit of extra texture to your cards. So for this one, I have used Cloud Cover and Secret Sea and the Everyday Arches dies, and basically going to layer these together. That one goes down there, and then we just have a piece of cardstock which has been scored, and one in each section, and that is it. And then the belly band, which is optional. So nice and simple. You could, if you wanted to, you could stamp your sentiment either on the DSP or over here. I decided against that purely because for this one there's not a huge amount of room to write, so I decided to leave it. And I did consider adding a sentiment label to one of these sections, but I didn't like it. It didn't look right, so I thought, no, I'll go with the belly band. And so I did. So that's what we are going to do. I'll put those to the side. That goes up there. So all we need to do is layer these together. And you could do this design with a lot of the different papers in the pack. There's heaps that go really well. It took me a while to decide, to make a final decision as to which ones I was going to use. And I will probably do a few extras in this design just with different papers because it just works really, really well with this set of papers. And because it's a 6x6 pack of paper, you've got lots of individual pieces of paper to play with. So you can definitely make a whole bunch. And I'm hoping it won't be too much longer before I have everything set up to stream live to YouTube at the same time as I go live to Facebook for these videos. I have the first couple of steps done. I just need to test it out, make sure everything works as I expect, and then I will be able to stream live to both. So for those who don't know, I do upload all these videos to YouTube because Facebook only keeps them up on the Facebook page for 30 days and then they delete them. So I do upload to YouTube so that they're available there as well. So you can head over to my YouTube channel and check them out. So all the past ones are there. Also the past ones from earlier this year catalog launch videos, and also the upcoming 12 Weeks of Christmas series that I will be doing with my good friends Connie from Great Stamping with Connie and Terry from Rustic Barn Cards. We do a 12 Weeks of Christmas series each year, so it's a series that we do exclusively for our newsletter subscribers. So that is another reason to sign up to my newsletter. You'll get the videos and PDF tutorials for the videos. So it'll be one a week for 12 weeks starting late September. And there will also be a product-based kit for those projects that you can order as well if you want. That is totally optional, of course, but that will also be available. All right, now all we need to do is layer these on. And so I did these just up. Sorry, not well. The base is just up from the bottom of the arches, so there'll be a little bit of space, and you just want to make sure when you, it's probably a bit easier if I show you this way, hopefully you can see that a bit better, because you just want to make sure that when you fold, that it is going to fold over your edge. So just make sure that you do leave a tiny bit of room, and so the top edge is sort of just as it starts to arch around. So almost put the glue on the wrong spot. I'm going to put the adhesive on here, because if I do it on the arches, I know I will mess it up and I'll end up with far too much glue where I really do not need it. And I'm going to go this way just because it's, for me, it's a little easier to see. Excuse my head if it comes into the camera. And I'm just going to fold that over and push in slightly so I can make sure that it will fold over properly and it's all in the right spot. So that is looking good. And then the middle one, same thing again. We just want to make sure that when it folds over, it's got enough room, but as long as you stick with adhering it just before the score lines. And so this middle one, you do have, you've got a little bit of space between the score lines, so you can give just a little bit of room, and that's done deliberately that way so that you're not crushing the edges when you fold on the score lines. So I'm going to go sideways again. Move that one up slightly and across. That should be good. And I'm just going to check that when it's folded, that it's roughly aligned so that it's not sort of looking all wonky. And then the final one, so it'll be same thing again, and we will just make sure that it all sits nicely. Alrighty, nearly done. Just have to do the belly band, and I've gone with just a very simple belly band because the card is the feature and we want to focus on that. The belly band just holds it all together. So we'll just make sure that's all And because you also want to make sure that it's all nice and straight and even, or even-ish, as even as you can, so that the belly band will fit over it. Although you are going to be folding the belly band to fit, but you do want to just make sure it will play nice. So we'll just stick these down. So I just used cloud cover and basic beige for the sentiment, stamped it in Secret C, and then punched the ends with the Happy Label picker punch. All right, so we just want to fold this around so that it fits. So you want to make sure it's going to be sort of, tight enough that it's going to sit, but you want enough room that you can get it on and off. And this little bit here is where you're most likely to have a little bit of difficulty, just because of that little notch. So I'm going to measure it to there and take it back a bit, just so there's a bit more room. And then that should, in theory, let's see if that's, yeah, that should, in theory. Now let's, I wanted that to sit. Let me just check my other one. I can't remember if I had the, yeah, I did. Where's it gone? No, it's probably fallen on the floor now. Oh, well. I am just going to trim this because I want this to cover the join. So we need to bring the join back a bit. Then that will cover. Get a little bit further. And I'm just going to press down lightly and just make sure it's all getting together as we want. Double check that it is going to fit nicely. There we go. All right, then we can stick the sentiment label over the top. Just give that a chance to stick and get it in place. Might help. And then all we need to do, I'm only going to add a couple of gems to this one. I don't want to add gems to the actual card itself. If you wanted to, you could on the front. I wouldn't do it on either of the inside pieces because then it won't fold flat properly. So go with the sentiment on the front or the front piece. And I'm actually going to go on the outside of the sentiment stick, outside of the sentiment banner for that one. when it remembers to play nice. Oh, it's going to be different. There we go. There we go. No, so there. They always like to be a little difficult. Alrighty, so that is the final card. I'll bring the others back in. So these are the 3 cards from this week's class to go. The ordering period for this week's class is open until Saturday, so midnight Saturday night, to get your orders in. And I will just switch my camera back around. There we go. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. I hope you like the cards. And whether you're watching live or on the replay, thank you. I'll be back next week with next week is the Notes and Totes bundle. So I hope you will join me for that. Have a great week, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.